Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have what can only be described as like an unhinged TBR. Like, this goes beyond just ambitious. I am unwell. So last month I haven't filmed my wrap up yet because it is still technically February when I'm filming this. I will have a wrap up done this week for you guys, but last month I literally read like 5 books. Like 5 books, which is terrible for me. Not like, yeah, it's terrible for me. In March my TBR is at 15 books. And that's not even including the books that I'm going to be taking away to America with me, which I'm going to be showing you in a whole separate video. So I don't know who I think I am, but we move, okay? We move. Before I get started in the video though, I have extensions, yes. I'm now living my best like princess, queen, bougie, dream girl life. I'm here for it, okay? I think this might be my midlife crisis because I am turning 30 in like 2 weeks after I film this. So yes, I think this is my midlife crisis. Am I mad at it? No. No, I'm not. So we're all, you guys, you're witnessing it. You're coming along for the ride. This is midlife crisis time. Apparently I think I'm a teenager again, but I kind of love it, okay? Like, I love it. Anyway, let's talk about some books, okay? Let's talk about some books. So, fully aware that I'll probably get to maybe like 5 of these books, 6 maybe if I'm lucky. But I just kind of like grouped together all the books that I was really like feeling right now. I'm very much a mood reader, okay? And I struggle at keeping 2 TBRs. So when I make these like overly ambitious TBRs like this one, it kind of means that I have more to pick from when I'm in my little mood reader moment. So that's one of the reasons why I went a bit crazy when selecting all these books for this month, because I was just kind of like, okay, like which books are like appealing to me right now? Like what am I vibing with? What am I in the mood for? And they're all ones that I definitely do want to kind of prioritize anyway off my physical TBR. So yeah. The first book on this list though is War and Peace. I think I mentioned in my February TBR that I wanted to try and read this before I turned 30. I'm currently that far through, so it's going well. It was actually going really well, and then House of Sky and Breath came out, and I fully intended to still keep up with reading this while reading House of Sky and Breath, but like obviously I haven't done because Hunt Athalar is life, and he was all I cared about. And now I finished House of Sky and Breath, I really do need to get back to War and Peace, but it's just taken me a minute to pluck up the courage to delve back in. But like honestly guys, like I mean look at all the tabs. I'm clearly enjoying it. I'm vibing with it a lot more than I thought I would. And yeah, I want to try and finish it in March. I'd love to still try and finish it before I turn 30, but I just don't think that's going to happen because I don't want to travel with this because it is a literal beast. And you know, when I'm back in Florida, I want fun vibes. I want like fun, contemporary, like happy, you know, I don't want War and Peace. I want to finish this anyway. I've enjoyed it so far. Like I say, it's more engaging than I thought it would be. It's a lot more accessible than I thought it would be, which I definitely think is due to the translation that I have, which is the current like Penguin Classics version. I think if you're reading like an older translation, it would obviously be a lot more heavy going and a lot harder to get through. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not going to give too many of my thoughts away at this point because I am going to film a video about it, and I am also vlogging the experience over on my TikTok, shameless plug, so go follow my TikTok if you want to see more like to the minute kind of reactions that I'm having whilst reading War and Peace. Next we have Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. So this is like a very dark and taboo romance. This is a stalker romance, and the girl, like basically the love interest is her stalker. So I've deliberately not read too much about it because I don't want to kind of go into it with any particular expectations. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one. Everyone says it is really gripping though, and it's also kind of like creepy and really just sets you on edge, which is kind of the vibe I'm looking for. That was the vibe I was hoping I was going to get with Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. And I did not have that, but it just didn't quite hit the level of creepy that I wanted. So I'm hoping this does. So that's kind of why I've not looked into it too much, because I want that kind of like I don't want to spoil the like spooky elements of it. But the second one in this duology has just been released, so I'd like to read this one this month, and then hopefully I can get the next one next month and complete the duology. Yeah. But everyone says this is really good anyway, and like I say, super taboo, super dark, and I'm very intrigued. It's also kind of a beast, and I love reading a big dark romance like this. Like, that's the kind of mood I'm really in right now. But I'm trying not to read all my dark romances in one go, because I'm always in the mood for a dark romance these days. Speaking of, we also have I think it's The Sinner's Duet by Sophie Lark. I think that's what it's called. It's There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. I'm obsessed with these covers, by the way. These are like the limited edition covers or something, and yeah, I'm obsessed. And from what I understand, this book is about a guy who is like, I think like a hired assassin or like a serial unaliver. Like, I'm not really sure like exactly where he sits. But I'm pretty sure they both have to go after like the same person, and then they end up falling in love with each other, or she knows the person he's going after. And anyway, regardless, they fall in love, and it's supposed to again be like super dark and taboo. Everyone says that Sophie Lark is really good. Apparently she writes a lot of like mafia romances, and I really want to get into more mafia romances this year. I'm basically at the minute working to try and clear my physical TBR so that I can kind of switch to reading more romances, because honestly, like, that is what is getting me like excited right now. That is what I want to be reading. But I also don't want to waste all the amazing books that I have on my shelf, and so yeah, I'm trying to like get through my backlog of like other books so that I can focus more on what's kind of like really like tugging at my heartstrings right now, which is more to be romances. Taking a break from the romance side of things though, we have Furo, Bourne, which is the first book in the Imperium trilogy, sorry. And this, I think, is about like two fated queens. So you have a queen from like many centuries ago who has like become almost like legendary in status, and then I think she had to like complete a load of elemental trials to like become queen. And then you have someone born like many centuries later who I think has to like rise up and prove that like she's related to her or something. I don't know 100%. I have read the back of it like a million times to try and grasp it, but I think that's what it's about. Like, the world will fall, two queens will rise. So I think the second queen is, yeah, like a very distant relative to the like legendary queen or something. But it does say there are 7 elemental magic trials, and if she fails, she'll be executed unless the trials kill her first. So yeah, it's giving me a YA like dystopian kind of fantasy vibes. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good. I know I did a really bad job of explaining it. I did a better job on TikTok, and I did a better job, I think, when I first told it. But yeah, I'm excited for it. And everyone says that is a really great like fantasy trilogy to like sink your teeth into, and I do love fantasy still, so yeah. Then we have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I feel like this needs absolutely no introduction. Honestly, it's just really awful that I haven't read it sooner. And this is apparently quite like a loose Shakespearean retelling. So it's a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but set in 1920 Shanghai, featuring 2 like rival gangs. I'm stoked for this. Like, I know the second one came out last year and everyone says that one is like just as good. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to read it. I'm hoping by the time I have actually read this, whether or not I get to it this month, that the paperback for the second one's come out, so I don't have to wait too long, because I don't want one in paperback and one in hardback. And I also don't want to go and buy the hardback of this now that I've got the paperback, you know, just book collector problems. But yeah, I'm really stoked to read this because I've seen so many people say so many amazing things all over the internet about it. Like, I love Chloe as well. I follow her on TikTok and Twitter, and I think she's just a really cool personality. Yeah, she's cool. I want to be her friend. Like, I want to be her best friend. So I'm excited to read this. Then we have one that I have literally no idea what it's about, but this is one that my best friend lent me, and she lent it me literally like, I think before the start of the pandemic, and I still haven't read it. And I really need to read it and give it back to her, because I do not want to be that person that like doesn't return people's books when she borrows them, because I don't like that person. And this is The Lies of Lamora by Scott Lynch. I think this is like a fantasy type of situation. It's like a series of the Gentleman Bastard sequence, and I know Holly really loves this series. I bought her the second one or the third one for Christmas a couple of years ago. Yeah, I have literally no idea what it's about. No idea what it's about, but it's supposed to be good. It's supposed to be good. So Basically, like, it seems to, I'm just gonna try and summarize from the back. It follows this guy called lamora, who is this fabled like thorn of Camor, who's like an unbeatable swordsman, and he's also a thief. So he steals from the rich, but he also doesn't give to the poor. Like, all of the spoils he gets stay with him and his gang. And apparently there's like a war threatening to like tear apart his home city, and him and his gang are like struggling to stay alive, and I guess they're gonna have to like fight to save the city. I don't know, I'm intrigued, but George R.R. Martin has said that it's good on the cover, and I trust George R.R. Martin's opinion when it comes to fantasy because he is one of the best. So we shall see, we shall see. Speaking of fantasy and kind of like urbanish fantasies, we also have Jade War. So I did film my first spoiler-filled vlog for Jade City, which I will leave linked in the cards. Obviously gonna read this to carry on the trilogy. I'm still not 100% sure what I really thought of Jade City. Like, it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be, but I am intrigued to see where she takes it and what's gonna happen. So yeah, Jade War, I'd love to try and get to it this month and film the next video. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm not gonna be upset, but I would like to try and see what happens in the next one. Not gonna sum it up, obviously, because this is the second in a trilogy, but basically the first book is about the city of Janloon, which is split between two rival clans. You've got the Mountain Clan and the No Peak Clan, and they are both kind of in control of the jewel Jade, which is used to power green bones, which are kind of like warriors who use jade to maximize their abilities, basically. But then a new drug comes onto the market, which means that anybody can use the like effects of jade, and things start to get interesting, and the rival gangs like set against each other, and it's very good. Okay, so next up we have Sex and Vanity by Kevin Kwan, and I have meant to read this for months. I picked this up in the summer. So I love Kevin Kwan. He's one of my absolute favorite romance authors. I find him hilarious, and I love the like incredible blend of humor and romance and culture that he brings to like all of his novels. I think it's wonderful. So this is Sex and Vanity, and this follows Lucy and George. So Lucy is American born with a Chinese mother and a American father, and she basically hates George like the minute that she meets him. I think because he kind of I don't know, I guess maybe he like embodies everything that she doesn't like, or everything that she's trying to avoid from her Chinese side. But basically they end up having to see each other more and more and more. Lucy's engaged, but I think like George kind of worms his way in, and I think they'll probably end up together. I'm not really sure like what's going to happen, because the back of the book does kind of keep things a little bit vague. But it says, soon Lucy is spinning a web of deceit that involves her family, her fiance, the co-op board of her Fifth Avenue apartment building, and ultimately herself, as she tries to deny George entry into her world and her heart. I'm really excited to read that. Like, that is, I think, going to be a priority, and I kind of wish I'd put that on my holiday TBR now, because that would be quite a good one to read, I think. Like, relaxing by the pool, relaxing on the beach, a little bit of Kevin Kwan, like, yes please. Okay, so next up we have The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. Now this was my birthday present from Holly. No, it wasn't. It was my Christmas present from Holly this year. Last year, 2021, whatever. And I'm really stoked to read this one. I think it's going to be really interesting. So this follows Angrboda's story. So Angrboda gets burnt by as like a punishment from the god Odin, because she was getting visions of the future and she shared them with the wrong people. So after her witch's burning, she flees into a remote forest where she gets found by the trickster god Loki, and basically they fall in love. I believe they have a family, and she ends up having to kind of choose between her family and I guess like her prophetic powers, because it says here, as Angrboda slowly recovers her prophetic powers, she learns that her blissful life and possibly all of existence is in danger. She must choose whether she'll accept the fate that she's foreseen for her beloved family or rise to remake it. So yeah, I'm very excited for that one. I'm trying to like get more into these like mythological retellings, but like I'm not always a fan of the Greek ones. I think this one is Norse mythology maybe, and I haven't read any Norse retellings. So I'm excited. I am excited. Then we have a little non-fiction moment. So this is The Mountain of You by Mountain Is You by Brianna Weist. Transforming self-sabotage into self-mastery. I really like Brianna Weist's writing. I've read the, is it 101 or 1001 essays to read? I think it's 101. It's got to be 101. She hasn't written 1,000 essays in that book, I'm sure. Whatever. The Essays to Read Before You Die book. and it was really good, and I found myself like relating to a lot of it, and it changed my mindset on a lot of things, and I found it just like a really valuable read. So I wanted to pick up more of her books, and this is the first one that I chose because I self-sabotage all the damn time. I am the worst at it. So I thought I'd pick this up and give it a read and just see if kind of her writing has the same effect on me this time, or like a different subject matter. I'm really excited. It's only a little ditty book as well, so I definitely think I'll get through that this month. I just tend to keep things like this like next to my bed, and I'll pick them up and read them like in between reading fiction books. But yeah, I'm excited for this because, like I say, I love her writing, and I find it really just powerful and comforting and just really helpful, basically. So yeah. Next, we have The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I feel like this has been on my TBR now so many times, and I don't know why I've like stopped myself from reading it. I think it's because I wanted to save it, but I don't really know what I'm saving it for. It's a thick boy as well, so I think that's another reason why, because like obviously it's kind of a little bit intimidating, and I've not read a sports romance before, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. But this is about Vanessa. Vanessa is the assistant to, I think, an NFL player. NFO. What's the difference between NFO and NFL? Can any Americans please like let me know in the comments, because it's something I kind of really need to know, because a lot of my friends in America are like obsessed with football, and I'm just having to like smile and nod politely. I know nothing, so please help me. So she's, yeah, like an assistant housekeeper for the top defensive end in the National Football Organization. And basically she leaves. I think he treats her like crap. I think he's like a bit of a dick, and so she leaves, and then he knocks on her door a few months later begging for her to come back, and I think it's like supposed to be a really like slow burn. Well, obviously it's slow burn, it's Mariana Zapata, like just a slow burn romance between the two. It says here, like, for 2 years the man known as the Wall of Winnipeg couldn't even find it in him to tell her good morning or congratulate her on her birthday. Now he's asking for the unthinkable. What do you say to the man who is used to getting everything he wants? Then we have Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. This is a more recent purchase of mine. I've been desperate to read it since I picked it up because I think I'm going to relate to this so much. I'm just going to read the blurb for this one because I also think it's going to probably speak to a lot of other people, because I literally read the synopsis in the store and just kind of was like, that's me. That's me in a book. So, except I'm not 23 anymore. I'm too old. How could it be true that a woman like her could need a man's love to feel like a person, to feel like she was worthy of life? She's 23 and in love with love. Aren't we all? He's the most beautiful man she's ever seen. The affair is quickly consuming and unpredictable. But behind his perfect looks is a cruel streak. And meanwhile, she's starting to give in to secret shameful impulses of her own. We're all looking to get what we want, but do we know what we need? I see just too much of myself in that synopsis, so like it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I'm really excited to read that one. I think, yeah, it's gonna be a bit of like an, I don't know if it's gonna be like an emotional read or just one of those reads that you're just there like the whole way through. I saw Books with Chloe reading it on her recent vlog actually, and I think her reaction to it is pretty much like what I'm expecting my reaction to be like, so it's quite interesting. Yeah, I don't know, I'm excited. I'm nervous but excited for that one. Then we have The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. This again has been on my TBR so many times, which is another reason why I just really want to read it this month and clear it off that TBR. This is like a horror, and I think it goes between like the past and the future and like the present. So I think it's a girl, yeah, Carly, who finds this motel that her aunt used to work at, and basically just like goes back to investigate her aunt's disappearance, because her aunt, I think, disappeared from work. Yeah, her aunt Viv, who mysteriously disappeared from the Sundown before she was born. So yeah, because I think her aunt like thought it was haunted or something, or was like encountering loads of like creepy shit while she was at work, and then one day she disappears, and then yeah, in the present tense, Carly is trying to find out what happened. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber is the kind of companion series, start of the companion series to Caraval, and this follows the Fates. So this one I believe follows Jack, the Prince of Hearts. It is Jack, isn't it? The Prince of Hearts. I'm sure he was called Jack. Was he not called Jack? I don't know. I love Caraval. It's one of my favourite series. I'm pretty sure he was called Jack. But anyway, it follows the Prince of Hearts, and this girl makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, and the price is 3 kisses, but he can decide who those kisses have to be with and when they have to take place. So obviously he is a bit of a trickster. He's mischievous AF, and he's going to use that to his advantage. But I'm guessing there's going to be a little romance situation between her, what's her name? Evangeline. Between Evangeline and Jack. So that's going to be quite exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I love Jack. I really want him to just be like happy and settled and stop being a little knob, you know? But we'll see. But I'm excited. Everyone says that that book, by the way, has some mild spoilers for Caraval in it. So if you haven't read Caraval and you want to read Caraval, I'd recommend reading that series first and then reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. The Caraval series, honestly, it's so good. It's a quick read, it's fast paced, it's magical, it's beautiful. It made me cry on a train. I actually really need to reread Caraval. I forgot how much I love it. It's lovely. It gives me like Moulin Rouge vibes as well, which is weird because it's honestly nothing like Moulin Rouge, but it does give me Moulin Rouge vibes, and Moulin Rouge is like my favorite film. So yeah. And then you guys, the last book, let's all read the collective sigh of relief. This video has gone on for too long. I'm definitely gonna have to like cut it down. I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. The last book on the list is Kings of Quarantine, which is book 1 in the Brutal Boys of Everlake Prep series by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti, who are the author duo that's also behind the Zodiac Academy, which I still have not read. This is a bigger book than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a short little romance, and this is not. This is the chunky boy. This takes place during the COVID lockdown at a prep school in the US. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm kind of excited. Everyone says this is really good. Everyone says this is just like the perfect kind of like bully romance, and I am so curious. There's 4 books in the series, so I don't know if it's going to be like a book for each of the boys, because there's Saint, oh no, actually no, there's only 3 boys, Saint, Kyan and Blake. But yeah, it says the ruthless boys of Everlake Prep never saw lockdown coming, but the virus isn't their #1 enemy. I am. As if being confined to a boarding school for the elite wasn't bad enough, and now I'm stuck in isolation with the boys who hate me the most too. Saint, Kyan and Blake, the Night Keepers, or so they call themselves. They've embodied the Native American legend which lives in this valley, taking on the role of the monsters who lurk in the forest. And though they act like beasts, they may also be the most tempting creatures I have ever seen. I think this is gonna be really spicy, and I'm excited. I think this might be what I read first because I'm just in the mood for this. Yeah, that's my crazy March TBR, guys. I'm gonna leave it here because honestly I think I'm going a little bit insane. I need some more coffee, I have another video to film, and then I need to fall into like an editing hole, and then I have to do uni work, and then I have to go out. So that's what I'm doing. But I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Obviously keep the comments spoiler free, but let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any recommendations for me based upon these bad boys. I'm in such a weird mood right now. I'm so like hyper but also super tired. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna film my other video, and I will see you guys in another one soon. Bye.